All right, let's dive in. We're going to the Himalayas today, to this movie, Sanj, from 2017. And
Oh,
it's really more than just like a pretty scenery film.
right, definitely. And it's especially important because
Yeah.
it's actually the very first Himakali film to be shown in Indian theaters. So, like, a big deal for regional cinema.
Yeah, it's like really opening a door to a whole new world, right?
Right, absolutely.
So this film's about
Yeah.
this girl, Sanju, 16 years old, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, she lives in the city, but she gets sent to live with her grandmother
Oh, wow.
in the Kulu Valley
Mm.
because a compromising video of her ends up online and it goes viral.
Not the ideal way to visit grandma.
No,
Yeah.
not a dream vacation.
No, not at all.
But it's interesting how the movie uses that contrast, right?
Absolutely.
Between like
Yeah.
her like modern life and her grandmother's very traditional rural existence.
Yeah, I mean, it really highlights those generational differences.
Yes.
But it's also like, it's not just about age, it's about like two completely different Indias existing at the same time.
The Kulu Valley itself is like almost another character.
Right.
I mean, the way they film those mountains,
Yeah.
it's like they're reflecting what Sanju's going through emotionally.
It's so true, and that's what's so amazing about the cinematography.
Yes.
Like, for example, remember when Sanju first gets to the village and she's totally lost?
Oh, yeah.
And she feels so isolated. The camera, it like focuses on these huge
Yeah.
mountain peaks, and it's like a visual representation of her feeling overwhelmed by this new environment.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's really powerful stuff.
It is.
Now, Sanju's not alone in this village, right? We have
Oh.
Jonga, the house guest. Kind of a
Right.
rough exterior there.
Yeah, but don't let that fool you.
No.
He's a great example of how you can't judge a book by its cover. Like,
Wow.
at first, he seems all gruff and unapproachable.
Yeah.
But as he starts talking to Sanju, we see the softer side coming out.
Yeah, he becomes kind of like a mentor
Yeah.
to her.
Right.
Like he kind of gets her struggles and he shows her a different way
Yeah.
to think about life in the village.
Yeah, because they both kind of feel like outsiders.
Yeah.
Each with their own baggage,
Yes, they're both looking for that connection,
Right.
that sense of belonging in this place that feels so strange.
Yes. And that's where the title of the film, Sanj, which means evening,
Uh,
really starts to have a deeper meaning.
so it's more than just like the time of day.
Exactly. It's like a space between light and dark.
Yeah.
And in the film, it's like this turning point for Sanju emotionally.
Right.
A point where she starts to really face her inner conflicts and find some clarity in all the chaos.
Oh, that makes me think of that scene where
Yeah.
Sanju and her grandmother are sitting on the porch
Yeah.
watching the sunset and the lights going down.
Yeah.
And they finally, have this heart-to-heart. It's like the Sanj, it's like it's creating this space for them to actually connect.
Yeah.
Understand each other's like pain and
And remember how the music swells up in that scene? It's this recurring theme by Mohit Chauhan and Pavitra Chari. And it so perfectly captures that bittersweet feeling of the moment. The sadness and the hope.
Yeah, it's like the music is speaking for them.
Right.
Like
yeah.
giving voice to all the stuff they can't say to each other.
Exactly. It adds this whole other layer to the storytelling.
Yeah.
And speaking of emotional depth, we got to talk about the actors.
Yes.
Aditi Charak as Sanju, she is just phenomenal. The
Yeah.
way she captures that teenage angst and like the vulnerability and how Sanju slowly changes.
Mm-hmm.
So convincing.
And Vishal Parpaga as Jonga,
Right.
he brings this like quiet strength to the role.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can see the pain in his eyes.
Yes.
But also like the kindness he's trying to hide.
It's those subtle things that make those performances so powerful.
And of course, Rupeshwari Sharma as the grandmother.
Yes.
She's perfect.
Yes.
Like she embodies that stoic thing.
Yes.
So many older generations have,
Mhm.
but you can tell how much she loves her granddaughter.
And it's important to think about the cultural context here. In
Yeah.
a lot of traditional societies, especially in rural areas,
Right.
people don't always express their emotions openly.
Yeah.
But the film captures those unspoken bonds, the subtle signs of love and care.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful.
It shows that connection doesn't have to be loud,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes it's in those quiet moments, the looks, the small acts of kindness.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder that even as the world changes so fast, those human connections are still what matter most.
Yes.
And Sanj captures that perfectly.
Yeah. It's like the movie saying that sometimes those connections,
Yeah,
they can actually help you find yourself.
exactly. And that idea, of finding yourself, it's so beautifully woven into the whole Himakali culture in Sanj.
Yeah.
Like, you're not just watching a story.
Right. You're actually experiencing a world full of tradition, ritual, and just the unique way of life.
It's like when Sanju was part of that local festival, right?
Yeah.
You can see that she doesn't really want to be there at first.
Right.
But then she starts to kind of get into it. The music, the dancing, that sense of community.
It's subtle, but it's a big change.
Yeah.
She's not just watching anymore.
Right.
She's actually taking part, starting to feel like she belongs.
And it's not just the festivals.
No.
It's the everyday things, too, like the way the film shows that respect for nature.
Yeah.
The closeness of families, even just cooking together.
Right.
It all builds this sense of place of belonging.
It's like the film is saying that connection isn't only about people. It's
Yeah.
about the environment, your heritage, your roots.
Makes you think, like, maybe sometimes we need to get out of our comfort zones.
Yeah.
You know, leave what we're used to really see how rich and beautiful other cultures are.
And to really understand ourselves better in the process. Yeah. And while Sanja is so deeply rooted in Himachali culture, it also deals with themes that anyone can relate to, no matter where they're from.
Right, like the whole thing about communication between generations.
Yes, Sanju and her grandmother.
Yeah.
They really struggle to understand each other.
Yeah, their values, their choices.
Yeah, I mean, it's something a lot of us can relate to.
Totally.
That feeling of like a gap between generations, of wanting to connect, but not knowing how.
Yeah, and it's not just the words they say, it's the visuals too.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the difference between what Sanju wears and her grandmother's clothes.
Right.
The way they use technology, it all adds to that idea of a generational divide.
Yeah, and the film doesn't try to give easy answers
No.
or simple solutions.
Yeah.
It's more about just recognizing those differences,
Uh-huh.
respecting them,
Yeah.
and finding ways to bridge that gap.
Like that really powerful scene
Yeah.
where Sanju finds out why her grandmother lives alone.
Right?
This decision she made out of love and sacrifice.
And it's like, in that moment, the wall between them comes down,
Yeah.
and they can really feel empathy for each other.
That's where Sanj really shines, I think.
Yes.
It doesn't shy away from tough emotions, from how complicated relationships can be.
Right.
It wants us to embrace all of that, to find the beauty in the mess.
It makes you realize that sometimes the deepest connections,
Yeah.
they come from sharing pain, from understanding each other's weaknesses.
That's such a powerful message.
Yeah.
Especially now when everything is about instant gratification and superficial stuff.
Right? Right.
Sanj reminds us to slow down, listen, connect on a deeper level.
Like, it's the opposite of the digital age.
Yeah.
Like a call to go back to what really matters in human connection.
Totally. And the fact that it won awards at those international film festivals
Yes.
shows that this message speaks to people everywhere.
It's like proof of the power of storytelling, how human emotions are universal.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder if Sanj could get more people to watch films from other cultures. You know, broaden their horizons, connect with stories that might seem unfamiliar at first.
That's what's so great about movies.
Yeah.
They can take us to different worlds, show us different points of view,
Yeah.
and in the end, help us connect with our shared humanity.
And maybe even inspire us to book a trip to the Himalayas.
Who knows, maybe you'll end up having a cup of chai with Sanju's grandmother.
So, I have to ask, what really stood out to you about Sanj? Like, what resonated with you personally?
You know, for me, it was how quiet but powerful the film is. The way it shows the beauty in simple things, like slowing down and appreciating the little moments. I think we all need that reminder, you know, with how hectic everything is.
Yeah, totally agree. It's like Sanj is telling us to like rediscover that beauty and stillness
Right.
and connecting with nature, with ourselves,
Yeah.
with the people around us, but like in a more real way.
Yeah, and it does that without getting all preachy or sappy.
Exactly.
It's subtle, it makes you think.
It sticks with you even after it's over. It makes you think about your own life,
Yeah,
your relationships, how you connect with everything around you.
absolutely.
And speaking of reflecting,
Yeah.
we want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
Think about Sanju and her journey, how she found peace and connection in this unexpected place, away from the city and all its craziness.
Yeah, so could that inspire us, you know, to rethink our ideas about where we belong?
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes we need to step outside of what's comfortable.
Yeah.
Embrace something new to really find a deeper sense of connection, of purpose,
Yeah.
even of home.
That's a really powerful question.
Yeah.
And I think it goes to the heart of what Sanj is all about.
Yeah.
It's more than just a movie.
Right.
It's like an invitation to go on a journey, to discover yourself.
Yeah.
A journey that might lead us to places we never expected,
Right.
unexpected connections, and in the end, a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe it'll even inspire you to find your own Sanj. Those moments of quiet, of connection, of beauty that you can find in the most surprising places.
So if you haven't seen this film yet, we really encourage you to check it out. It's a story that will stay with you, maybe even change how you see the world and yourself.
And until next time, keep exploring, keep connecting, and keep looking for those stories that remind us of the beauty and wonder of being human.
Because sometimes the most amazing things we find are the ones we discover when we go beyond what we know and embrace the unknown.